Yeah. So what is anything getting implemented now? I mean, I know it's early on, but I would think, we're talking there's got to be some early intervention.
Right. Well, they are looking at policies and procedures and trying to strengthen those. They had policies, that weren't too bad, frankly, but, nobody knew about them. They were sitting on the shelf, so they weren't very visible. They weren't taken very seriously. And I think a mistake that a lot of institutions make, including, we also have the connection with the second mile, and we have the high school that allowed Jerry Sandusky to come and take children out without parental permission at will, which was, they had a policy that did not allow that. So it's not always the answer to create a new policy. The mistake that people make so often, or that institutions make, is they give certain people passes. Well, this person's worked here a long time. We like this person. We know this person. We're excited to have this person come and visit us. So, of course, they can do what they want. The policy is for the new people, or the people we're suspicious of. And I think that's the same mistake that society at large makes. We've been doing some research on how the public understands sexual violence and who commits it. And, by and large, the public has this idea that it's that really scary, deranged stranger that you would recognize, and you would definitely never let your children go with them. But they don't get that most people that do this are people that you would let your children go with. They're likable, they're charismatic. So it seems like people are maybe starting to get that, and if so, that would be another good thing that could come out of this.
Right. There's, and the sports industry, there's a merging, right, of the power and the culture of the sports industry. And is there what's playing out there?
Well, Penn State is a huge university, and there's all kinds of politics, and the athletic department kind of does its own thing still. So it's interesting that, like, the university president and vice president reached out to our agency, and then, like, 2 days later, the athletic department called and asked us if we would come and do a program, and they didn't know that they were working with us. So it's still, there's still some communication challenges, I would say. And yeah, there's, the people that we talk to at Penn State, they're aware of this, and they're openly examining this, very, very painful soul searching. There's an arrogance, and they admit that, and the athletic department has an unbelievable arrogance about it. I know that they're not the only university that way, but they really exemplify that whole thing, and that whole, like, the allegiance to the team and to the win is stronger than anything else. Where they forget, like, the purpose of a university should be, like, to question things and to to raise doubts and to challenge, to create free thinkers instead of creating mass mobs.
Is your plan, Karen, to give them recommendations?
Absolutely. We have no authority or no teeth in our recommendations,
right,
but at least in the short term, I think they feel some pressure to take them. So.
So use the time and the pressure, right?
Right, and we welcome all of your suggestions, because there's so many layers to this. There's the public policy, what laws would be helpful. There's, like, curriculum development. I mean, in addition to the students that are there now, I mean, we're thinking about the fact that Penn State graduates hundreds of nurses, doctors, psychologists, researchers every year. And if there could be something, really meaningful that they learn while they're there and that they take into these systems, that could be another way of having a larger impact over time.
Right. Okay, we'll get back to that. Tom, I want to get to you as a prosecutor. I know that you prosecute a lot, and you have. And it's like, what are the tools that you need in criminal justice, or that would help you in prosecuting child sex abuse? I know these are not easy cases, and in fact, many of them are very messy cases. I hate to use the word messy, but many people get involved, and so maybe you can address some of that.
Well, one, I want to thank you for having us here tonight, and I want to thank you for what I think is the most important thing that you can do for prosecution, for legislation, for helping at a school or anywhere else, for telling your story, or this story. I think that every time somebody speaks out, every time somebody says to somebody else, this happened to me, and it was wrong and it was bad, it gives the courage to maybe one other person, maybe a room full of people, to tell their story. And there are children out there now, not just people who are 35 years later who may need an avenue to heal, but there are children that it's happening to right now. And every time somebody tells a story, and every time somebody stands up, whether it's a nurse who treats them, a therapist who helps them, someone who just listens, a parent or a friend, it saves somebody's life. It gives one more person the courage to stand up to their abuser and say that this is wrong.